welcome to episode 139 of Geeks Who Like Sports. As always, I am Ray Carcillo in beautiful Los Angeles, California. Join my best friend the entire world over in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Lee Elias. Lee, you know, we always have a big show. We always have a great show. But tonight, we have one of our biggest shows ever, I think, in terms of topics, because it has been a crazy day, my friend. But first off, how are you?
The geek gods have blessed us, Ray. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. They have blessed us with a story today. Ray, years from now, I'm actually sitting by my phone. I'm waiting for CNN, Fox News, MSNBC. I'm waiting for all the news shows to call one of you or me. Be like, you guys have been talking about this for 2 years. 2 years you've been predicting this. You guys are the experts. I'm waiting by my phone. Producers, waiting to talk to you about this massive buyout that happened today, thus proving what we have been saying for years. The future is bright, my friends. But Ray, I'm going to let you announce it. We're leading off with the big story tonight. Not Boba Fett, not Marvel, not Star Wars. We're leading off with a big story tonight.
It is rare that we are kicking things off with games, but it has been that big kind of a day. I mean, to set things up, of course, so we have a big show for you. As you mentioned, we got obviously football. We got NHL. We've got even a little bit of tennis today. We've got Marvel, Star Wars. We got a lot of stuff going on, but it is indeed, we are kicking things off with video games. I need to set the stage because for whatever reason, I couldn't sleep last night. I just felt like today was going to be a big day. I had a lot on my plate. I had a lot to do. And lo and behold, at 6 a.m. Pacific time, the biggest news, nobody saw this coming. It was so shocking that even the Microsoft social team was caught unawares, and they only were able to make one post that came straight from the press release. Folks, this is what the biggest video game acquisition ever for $68.7 billion in cash, straight up cash. Microsoft has acquired Activision, Blizzard, and now Activision and Blizzard and their entire library, Call of Duty, Overwatch, Diablo, World of Warcraft, all their mobile stuff like Candy Crush is now under the Microsoft umbrella as it officially will be as of July 1st, 2023. So there's still going to be some time before the ink dries and this all settles. But in less than 15 months from now? It's 18 months from now. Less than 18 months from now.
An appropriate amount of time, yes.
Yes. To, of course, obviously, again, cross T's, dot I's, get all the ducks in a row. But it is official. Microsoft has acquired the largest third-party publisher in video games. Activision was around in the Atari days, folks. They are they are not only one of the biggest, they are not only the biggest, they are one of the oldest. And now they are under the Microsoft brand. They've already announced they're going to start probably adding stuff to Game Pass next year as soon as this goes through. They're already talking about, like, again, they're getting all their ducks in a row. And honestly, this is Microsoft just cornering their segment of the market. They now have Bethesda. They now have Activision. Holy cow, it is absolute pandemonium here in the video game industry as Microsoft is pulling no punches, and they are forcing the industry forward one acquisition at a time. Lee, what are your thoughts?
Well, where do I start on? Let's break it down, right? Because it's going to take us a little bit of time. There's the immediate impact, and then there's the long-term impact. Make no mistake, when you spend $68 billion with a B dollars buying something, this is not something for the short term. This is something for 20, 30, 40 years from now. That's what they're banking on. Keeping in mind, Activision's about an $8 billion a year company, right? You can multiply 8, get 68. You can see how many years they projected here. This is a long-term investment. Now, in the short term, from a surface level, what I said in the beginning of the show, this is proving what we said about Sony not being a top player anymore. They're not. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care if you guys love PlayStation or not. They are not a top player in this game. The top players in this game right now are Microsoft, and whether you want to believe it or not, Facebook, Netflix, Meta, excuse me, I should have said that earlier, and all of these up and coming digital companies. All right, I'm going to get into that in a minute. We actually spoke last week or 2 weeks ago about PlayStation going heavily into controllers, right? And why are they doing that? Because I think they want to corner the controller side of the market. So one day Microsoft buys them too. So in terms of a power play, again, too many people at Microsoft versus Sony, it's not even there anymore, guys. There's no battle. Microsoft has not just won, but It's over. Like it's over. I was joking in the pre-show today that this reminds me of Star Wars with Activision being Emperor Palpatine in Revenge of the Sith. Oh, too weak. And then Microsoft invests all this money. Unlimited power! That's what it feels like right now, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know who Lord Vader is in that scenario. It's probably Candy Crush. But the point is this, right? In the short term, it's a big deal, okay? Now, why would they do this now? Because it's not for the short-term reason. And Ray and I were talking. Ray was so excited about this morning. He called me in an East Coast morning. That's how you know it was working. Okay. This is why they're doing it. And I have proof for this. Okay. As I said to Ray this morning, the biggest change to the game recently technologically was Facebook announcing Meta and this kind of spring of Metaverse blockchain level talk. Microsoft is buying Activision with the Metaverse in mind. And when you look at the acquisitions, Call of Duty, Warcraft, StarCraft, all of these games that you would love to live in.
Yeah.
Right? Make no mistake, friends. Call of Duty will be a put a helmet on game sooner than you think. Same thing with us. Candy Crush, virtual, all of these things. Web 3.0 is why they're buying it. Now, Kotick, funny, he came out today. You guys will remember him from Moneyball. He played Steve Schott.
Yes.
For some reason. He even came out to say today and said that we needed this acquisition because we simply cannot compete with Meta and Netflix and all of these third parties. He said that. He said the Metaverse is coming and we are not prepared financially. What does that tell you? He bowed down to the Microsoft guys and said, we can't do this. You guys we need to be bought out. Right?
Yes.
So look, if this is what I'm saying, yes, NFTs and all this stuff, we talked about this, the whole blockchain thing, there's a lot of danger there right now. If you don't know what you're doing, we've said it before, 99% of NFTs will fail.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
We talked offline. We were, we said it, the 99% of this stuff, it's hard to sift through the garbage. Right. There's a lot of noise out there right now, but that is Web 3.0 is the future.
It is absolutely coming. Okay. Blockchain, crypto, and NFTs and the Metaverse are coming, and they are coming very fast. 10 years from now, this will be mainstream, not coming still mainstream. I believe in about a year or two.
It'll be established by 2030. I think.
Right. Yeah. And I really think within a year or two, you're going to start to see this stuff creeping into culture in a really heavy way. It already is. People don't see it. And again, Ray, Web 3.0, this is what's funny about getting older. Now, you and I are in our late 30s now. And a lot of people are just like, that's ridiculous. I don't understand. It's not going to make any sense. Man, I remember being in my early 20s and people going, Facebook, social media, Web 2.0, that's not going to do anything. And they're the ones leading us into Web 3.0. So my point is this, just for everybody listening. I am an investor in crypto. I do have some NFTs. I've talked to Ray about this. I am a patient learner first and a patient investor second. So in no way am I telling you anybody here, this is like a warning to dump money in the Metaverse because I'm saying it's coming.
Yeah.
But you do want to start to educate yourself on that world. Gaming will be a headset. I will be shocked, Ray, if the next version of Xbox, whatever that is not a small little, almost this big thing you can plug into your TV. Yeah. And I will be shocked if there is not an Oculus or an Xbox headset or some technology that you're going to put on and be in a virtual reality. Like,
well, I mean, and that even goes back to you. That even goes back to your earlier point, though, with what Sony's doing. Sony's doubling down on PlayStation VR with their headsets. They're coming out with new controllers. So it could be that they're going to work their way in that way. And it's going to be interesting. Darkstroke says that there's no way for Sony to come back to this. That's not necessarily true, but we'll get to that in a bit.
Things
that
pivot.
they could do.
They can pivot. Big time.
They can pivot. Exactly. There's time to pivot, but they have to start thinking about that. And I think also, and Sensei says it too, Sony needs to start taking a lesson from Nintendo and beat to their own drum. That's definitely one way of doing it. But before we get any further, before we get into what Sony's going to do,
we could talk about Nintendo too. With their
exactly. Before we get into the reactions to this news, we still need to talk about the action. Part of this was also Microsoft knowing when to strike.
Right.
Activision was weak. They were at an all-time low because of all the scandals, because of the federal investigations. Their stock had dropped. I think it was something like 20%. I think over the past couple of years, it was. I mean, it's still worth a lot. Obviously, almost $70 billion. But compared to what it was, they were at a weak point. Darkstroke also mentioned it that Bobby Kotick, who Lee mentioned, will probably step down once everything is finalized in a year and a half, because of the scandal surrounding him.
If I may,
yes.
I actually can't think of a better way to step down. Like people like, hey, he's gonna be gone. I'm like, yeah, he's gonna be gone with not a golden parachute, like a golden airline.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, and those of you who don't know, for Bobby Kotick being forced to step down because of an acquisition, there's a thing in the corporate world called a golden parachute. He will receive $292 million to step down next June. I think he's going to step down pretty willingly when that happens. Like Lee said, this was the best case scenario for a dude who's he's not a good dude. There's no denying that. He's handled a lot of these situations terribly in terms of his interactions with his coworkers, in terms of the work culture at Activision and all that. But he
might actually be able to manage the Oakland A's now if he really wanted to.
He in real life, probably buy the Oakland A's for $200.
He can do the real thing now. He doesn't have to fake being a Steve Schott. He could actually be. He could work with the real Billy Bean if he really wants to. Again, for those of you who don't know, for some reason he played Steve Schott in Moneyball. I still don't know how or why that happened. But
yeah, I mean, he's just one of those dudes who's always kind of been Hollywood adjacent and has always kind of wanted it. And he probably knew somebody who knew somebody. That's how this stuff happens, especially with Activision being based here in LA. I wouldn't be surprised if the circles, there was a Venn diagram somewhere.
Just before we move, if you would bring up all the properties, we should probably list them to go through them and talk about how that's going to be there. But I want to talk to in chat here, Sensei Solo, whose name I love. I want to talk about this. He's talking about Nintendo. Nintendo will do what they always do too, is make their own path in this. They don't need to be the big player. He's saying that it's not about third parties, about first party. Sensei Solo is 100% right. And Nintendo will have to adapt to this world as well. Right. And they will make their own stuff too. But yeah, I believe Sony is going to pivot towards the tech. And the analogy I gave Ray earlier was this. Look, we all need cars to get around, but someone owns the rights to the windshield wiper on the car. And every car needs a windshield wiper. Microsoft is the Ford, right? Facebook Meta is probably the Chrysler or whatever. I'm just making things up right now. But my point is, I think Sony wants to be the windshield wipers on the car with their controllers. And here's the deal. If they get super advanced with their controller headset technology, VR technology, why would Microsoft not try to acquire that or make a deal with that?
Well, exactly, because I mean, this way they can compete with Oculus and with Metaverse. I mean, there's also the idea that if it does very well, that Metaverse acquires them for their IP, right? Because Sony has some very good first party IP as well. Then also, or at least try to acquire some of their gaming rights, but also try to acquire their peripherals. Right.
And I'm going to say this one more time. And again, I feel like we've been saying this for 2 years and people kind of either think we're crazy or that I'm joking. Microsoft is a major player, but people are not looking at the right players. It is not Microsoft and Sony and was Activision. It is Microsoft, Meta, Netflix, Disney. These are the companies that will be leading us into the future. Probably Google too. All right.
Yeah, Google for sure.
Yeah. When Ray and I were in college, I remember this. We always talked about the big parent companies, and it was GE. It was Viacom, right? Like, when's the last time you guys heard about Viacom? You know what I mean? Like this has shifted. And I said this today, right this morning too. This is not like a volcano. This is a tectonic plate shifting movement event.
Yes.
Like the face of the world is about to change. All right. This is my word of warning to everybody. All right. If you're a gamer, you just play games, you're casual about it. That's awesome. You stay in your play. You're laying with that. There's nothing wrong with that. If you really care about this industry, educate yourself now. Don't be late to the party. This goes back to the joke I always bring up, Ray, about the iPhone. And I've said this before. I remember when the iPhone was coming out, I said it to you. I said it to our other friend, Ray. I said, I should invest in Apple today. This isn't investment advice. This is technology stuff. I should invest because in 5 years, everyone's going to have that phone. I just knew it. I just knew it then. And I'm seeing it now. And you know what? Within 5 years, everybody had it. And you know what is the most annoying thing about iPhones, Ray? Older people who are computer illiterate and be like, how do I put the phone on the volume? I can't work this thing. I just don't want to be like that. Not yet, at least.
Yes. No,
right?
no, for sure.
I want to be rich enough in the future that I don't have to care. And I can be like, number 6. What's your name? Jordy. I need you to put the phone on. No, I would never do that. I would never call somebody a servant, obviously.
I know.
but my point is, guys, educate yourself on where we're going and you'll be set. Let's make this a true Geeks Like Sports episode. people always fear what they don't understand.
Yes.
Right. And that's exactly what's happening here. All right. Do you want to be Magneto or Professor X or Wolverine? I'm going to be Wolverine. Yeah. I'm just going to cut anybody who gets in my way. Ray's clearly Magneto. Right. I don't know. I don't know if we have a Professor X in this situation.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah. We'll get there. But so let's dive in now a little bit just to some of the IP, obviously, because again, in the long term is going to be the metaverse, right?
Metaverse.
In the short term, you've got Call of Duty, you've got World of Warcraft, you've got Diablo, you've got
StarCraft.
Overwatch, you've got Candy Crush on the mobile side. And also, you got to think about this. Microsoft now owns 3 of the biggest esports leagues in Overwatch, Halo, and Call of Duty.
Right.
You want to talk about being future focused and looking towards the future? They now own 3 of probably the 4 or 5 most popular, right outside. You'd probably say Fortnite, and for you old school shooter fans, Counter-Strike Global Offensive, right? Those are probably your top 5. Some of you might correct me if I'm wrong, but I would say those are probably your top 5 esports right now. Microsoft now has 3 of them under their umbrella, or they will as of June of next year. So you've got that side of things. You also remember, World of Warcraft is still a subscription-based thing. You want to know how you get a lot of folks over into Game Pass? Hey, you're subscribed to WoW right now. We're going to let you keep your WoW. You keep subscribing to WoW. We're also going to give you Game Pass. Same price, $15 a month. Now you have Game Pass. You add WoW to Game Pass. I'm sorry, folks, but the potential for that alone, because they've already hinted at they're going to start at Call of Duty is going to be day 1 on Game Pass. If they have Call of Duty day 1 on Game Pass, and they add WoW to Game Pass, especially now that they're pushing again, trying to get more people to sign up for Game Pass on PC, Microsoft is trying to get you. They're multifaceted. It's brilliant. It's a multifaceted, multi-layered approach. They're not just coming at you with consoles. They don't care if you buy a console because most of you's got a PC. At the very least, you got to have a computer, right? You want to play games? You got to have at least a PC. You want to be an esports player? You got to have at least a PC.
And what's the most popular PC in the world?
Oh,
Microsoft.
Well, yeah, I mean, they all that's the
all have Windows, OS, right?
It all runs they're all Windows based.
I said that wrong, but yes, what is the most popular operating system in the world? Microsoft.
Right.
And they want you to be able to play on your phone and on your computer and on your console. And here's another thing too. You want to talk about gaming? How many iPhone users might switch to a Droid or something with a Windows phone now? Oh, I can play my games on there, right? It's all part of the battle. I want to read this here quote from the article. Mr. Kotick characterized the deal as a calculation that Activision did not have the tools to keep up with big tech companies like, and tell me who's missing here, Ray, Google, Apple, Amazon, and Tencent in the rapidly evolving gaming landscape. Who did he just leave out from that?
Well, I mean, he knew he was being acquired by Microsoft, but I mean, he didn't mention Facebook. Facebook wasn't there.
He didn't mention Sony.
Well, yeah, because Sony's not a big player. Sony's not a big player.
Exactly my point. And again, like he didn't say Meta, but look, you're talking. He didn't say GE. He didn't say Viacom.
Right. Yes.
He said Google, Apple, Amazon, and Tencent. So I've said it. For those of you who don't know, Apple, Amazon, all developing gaming stuff.
Yeah. Tencent is one of the big publishers over in China who has a small share or even a majority share in a lot of American tech companies. They own a chunk of Epic. They own, I think, a chunk of, I want to say Annapurna. Don't quote me on that, but a lot of movie studios as they try to build a bridge between the East and the West for media consumption. So Tencent is also a huge player that we cannot forget about. You cannot forget about China. China. Every time I want to talk about China now, I want to do this.
Hey, listen, it's a brilliant acquisition. I hate to say this, but Kotick, who is in a world of hell, is going to make out like a literal bandit. I mean, he's just going to make out like a bandit. I mean,
whatever you think about him as a human being, you're probably spot on. He's a scumbag, but as a businessman,
brilliant.
You can't deny the dude probably pulled off the heist of the century here.
Yeah. So look, again, I think it's great news. I think it's pushing technology forward. I think that, the amount I saw this on the internet today, which was kind of cool. Like people are starting to understand, like, oh, wow, maybe we should look at this.
Yes.
But I'm going to say it again, I'm not with the metaverse, with all that stuff. I would not have it like a dirt off your shoulder, like, it doesn't matter attitude towards that anymore. Like Facebook's move to Meta has triggered all of this.
Yes.
The players, the Googles, the Amazons, the Apples, Meta, Microsoft, that is the future company. And I haven't even said the biggest one in Tesla. And they have stuff coming this year too. I'm told Neuralink is going to debut this year, which I can't believe.
I've also heard heard that this, and don't quote now. I've heard now it could come to fruition. It might not. I've heard that over the next 10 days, this will not be the only major tectonic shift in video games. Now, I don't know what that means. It was very cryptid when it was told to me. The individual, who of course will remain anonymous, did not go any further into detail, no matter how much I pressed. But they wouldn't tell me if it was Microsoft, if it was Sony trying to respond, or Nintendo, or if it was
EA.
Metaverse or Tesla or EA or whoever. Like they didn't say. They just said the dominoes have only begun to fall.
Yeah, we said
and we
that.
will see.
We said that. We said that a year ago.
Well, yes. No, I know that. But like I'm saying now, expect a lot more to happen in a very short peririt of time. This was the big domino, I believe.
I think EA is next up. Because here's the thing. You want to talk about Metaverse? I think Meta Sports are pretty far off, but you're going to want the league rights. Right? Because I'll tell you
we're going to talk about Meta Sports later on.
When I'm 65 and I can play in the NHL again, I'm going to be a happy old guy.
Yeah.
All right. You and I will be able to play for the 2022 Giants together and in 2040 something and just make it right.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn you just like the water boy.
I'll be pacing along the sideline yelling.
No, you're going to be a linebacker. And I'm going to turn to you and be like, I'm ready, friend. It's going to be real. And not only that, my digital self's going to look just like I did 10 years ago from now. It's going to be great. Yes. We'll be playing. We're going to hear in the background, Dad, are you playing that game again? It's not good for your brain. Shut up, Logan. I love you, but I'm playing this game with my friend Ray. Get a job. You get a job, Dad. I can't wait till the role reversal happens. That's going to happen. But anyway, look, who can buy EA? Microsoft. Microsoft can buy
the
EA.
Thing. Sensei, you don't realize Microsoft is like at least 10 times as big as Sony, and they might not necessarily be done. I do believe that Microsoft is done at the moment. I do believe Microsoft is done.
Probably.
But again, we mentioned it. You mentioned Meta, Facebook. That's possible.
Amazon could buy
Amazon, Google, Tencent, any of those companies, they got the money. Oh, in the 10-day span, Sensei? It could be.
Sensei, I'm going to say again, too. Don't forget, Microsoft is a multi-trillion-dollar company. So I hate saying this, 68 billion is massive. It's a lot of money. Yeah. And I don't expect them to do more, but they could. EA is not worth that much.
They wanted to.
Yeah.
They wanted to.
And they could.
EA is worth less than Activision.
Right.
EA is worth less. Not a lot less. Again, Zynga went for $12 billion last week. We talked about that on the show. This one for 68. EA's closer to the 68 than the 12.
Right.
But it is less.
Right. So they could do it if they wanted to. Sony will not buy them. So and those games are having a hard time right now. So like at that, from a business standpoint, I think Microsoft would be smart to let EA go to somebody else, because it's not, again, Meta Sports is not going to be a thing right away. That's going to take some time to perfect that level of gaming. Right. So I think that you let someone else come in. Guys, remember the first, Ray, you remember this, the first company into the Game Pass space was not Microsoft. It was Google. Yeah. And they failed miserably, but they were the first through the wall.
And that's usually what happens. And that's not to say that Google can't bounce back.
Right. Even I remember Apple has their own version of this. Just nobody uses it.
Yeah. You're going to see things shift. You're going to see things again, move around. This is not done. This is the the first rock through the thinning ice as the winter begins to thaw, as the ice begins to thaw.
Don't look up, Ray. This is Don't Look Up. That's what this is. Don't look up. That's if you. By the way, I love just quick side geek note. I love that film came out. It was awesome. It was really fun. It was exactly what I expected it to be. And of course, all of the media outlets, this movie's horrible. They should never have made this movie. That's right, because it's about you, you idiots. Thank you for proving them right, dummies. That's exactly what I don't like that you're making fun of us because we suck at our jobs and media is hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
I would trust Leonardo DiCaprio over all of you.
Yeah.
I actually believe that guy wants to help. You know what I mean?
Network.
I believe the guy
1976. Network was right all those years ago.
I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore. Everyone should see that film. It's way beyond your time, but you should see it. It's a good film.
Yes. Great acting, even though it's 1976, guys. It's definitely something worth watching if you're at all interested in media studies and the like. It's prescient in its predictions. But yeah, I mean, this is the biggest video game news of the week.
I mean, it's so Star Wars. There's always a bigger fish. There's so many things that could equate this to. It's like right. It's like ball coming out. Like again, you guys have to understand when he ignited that dual lightsaber the first time, everybody in the crowd went crazy in the trailer.
Yeah,
because we'd never seen anything like that. We'd never seen
changed everything. Yeah,
that in the Matrix
changed everything.
It happened in the same year. We got dual lightsabers and guys going
and bullet time, dual lightsabers and bullet time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there a better year for geeks than 1999?
No, there wasn't, because everything went to hell pretty quickly after that. That was a unique, wonderful time. Spider-Man was about to come out.
Yes.
Just a couple years later. It was a unique time.
Yes, for sure. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot that's going to happen here. Again, there's going to be fallout from this. Obviously,
massive.
There's going to be. When the dust settles, it's going to be really interesting to see as the T's get crossed and the I's get dotted. But it's going to be, trust me, this is just the beginning.
This is just the beginning. That's another quote from Star Wars, man. You just Dooku'd it up. I'd be cool with Green Christopher Lee. I'd be cool with that. Which Christopher Lee?
Any of them.
I mean, because I don't know. I don't like how they had him punk out at the end of Revenge of the Sith. I thought he should have went out with a little more than a fight.
No, that's fair. He did kind of get like just
move aside
there pretty yeah. I mean, my first introduction to Christopher Lee. So again, my geekdom is Man with the Golden Gun, James Bond.
Yeah, that was good.
That was people forget he was a Scaramanga.
Yeah, I saw him as Dracula, but that was
that's another good one. Of course, classic.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was the big news tonight on Action News. Moving forward, we have a lot of other stuff.
Some I don't want to say lesser, but some minor stuff in video games. Of course, also mixes in wrestling a little bit. Big congrats to one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, Rey Mysterio, is the cover athlete for WWE 2K22 this year. That story got absolutely crushed under the weight of everything else that happened. That broke yesterday.
Much
WWE
like he does
when
he fights full-size wrestlers. So there's a metaphor.
Yes,
there
exactly. Yeah. So I imagine we're gonna have some reveals in the next couple of weeks for WWE 2K22. They're gonna probably be showing off his story mode. You'll probably have to do like a Royal Rumble match. Of course, at the time he was the man who survived the longest in a Rumble. And Rey Mysterio, of course, multi-time champion. Many times the David versus Goliath story, the undersized underdog who would topple guys like the Big Show and whatnot. I'm actually looking forward to WWE 2K22 this year, seeing what that franchise brings us in the spring. I also want to criticize some of the wrestling fans who were poo-pooing on the idea of Mysterio being the cover athlete this year. Get a life. Screw you guys. I get that a lot of you want Brock Lesnar, you want Roman Reigns. Those guys have already been cover athletes.
Yeah, come on. This guy's
Rey Mysterio is a legend. Rey Mysterio is a legend. This is probably I guarantee you, this is part of the reason why he came back to WWE when he did a couple of years ago, is that he wanted to probably be on the cover of a video game because it is a big deal in WWE. And I know that there are probably at this moment bigger stars than Rey, but in terms of their impact on wrestling, in terms of their history, and in terms of guys also currently under contract with WWE, and who haven't been cover athletes before, give Ray his time and shine. Don't take this away from. Yeah, don't take this away from. Don't. You got to give people their flowers while they're here, folks. Brock's already been honored. Roman's been honored before. Becky Lynch has been honored. I'm actually super excited to play the Rey Mysterio career mode in this. So I just wanted to put that out there because I saw a lot of hate on the internet that was completely unjustified. And you're showing your wrestling ignorance when you do that. So, and your ignorance in general.
Totally agree. And yeah, look, man, like I said, Rey Mysterio's got to be getting up. He's got to be close to 50 at this point.
I was going to say he's probably there. He's he's tag teaming with his son now to let you know where he is. Yeah. Dominic Mysterio is his tag team partner.
That's awesome.
But he's 40. Yeah, he's 47. So
right. This guy's up near 50. Speaking of wrestling news, I want to say that I've been watching Peacemaker, and that show may have one of the greatest opens I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
ever. I've never seen an open as good as that show. And for those who don't know what I'm talking about, just go look up on YouTube the opening credits for Peacemaker. Incredible. John Cena really is funny in that show. Anyway,
he really loves being that character. He has embraced it to like whole new levels. And James Gunn said, he went on record, he said, I wanted to make an intro that was so memorable that you would never skip it every time you started a new episode.
I haven't skipped it once. It's that it is. I've never seen anything quite like it. I'll just say that. And my favorite character in that show is the Eagle by far. The Eagle.
Oh yeah, his buddy. What's it, Baldy or something? Or
that's Eagly. Eagly.
Oh, Eagly. Yeah, that's
right. He's awesome.
I haven't watched it yet. I've only seen the trailers. I need to actually sit down and watch it because the first 3 episodes are out on HBO Max.
It is hilariously awesome. You will love every second of that show.
I watched something else this weekend that made me very, very mad. We'll get into that.
Yes. We finally can reveal the spoilers that I've been holding back from talking to you about, which we're going to spoil today.
Well, you know what's interesting is that I think a lot of people went my route because there was a little backlash when Eternals came out, but when it hit Disney Plus, there was a whole lot more. And you could tell that this was a lot of people seeing it now for the first time and being like, kind of like my reaction, which is, boy, oh boy, I am glad I waited and did not pay money for this in the theater. But we're going to get to Marvel in a bit. Before we get to that, we're going to start. And we're mentioning Star Wars, lots of Star Wars stuff. We're going to talk Book of Boba Fett. Episode 3 did drop last week. This is our Book of Boba Fett now. Our recap, our thoughts on it for Geeks Like Sports. Of course, join us every Friday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern at streamlounge.io. It's free to sign up for. Lee is almost done building his Boba Fett helmet. But yeah, Book of Boba Fett episode 3 dropped last week. In a few hours, episode 4 will drop, but of course we haven't seen it yet. Recording this on the evening of January.
I always forget that that's like tomorrow until you say it each week, and it makes me so happy because I always forget, like, oh, it's coming out tomorrow. He's right.
Yes,
it's awesome. Yeah.
We just do the show just to remind Lee of what he has to watch on Disney.
I'm a dad and I've got 12 jobs. I deserve to know.
Yes.
Listen, I'm gonna make a wild prediction before we even talk about 3. I think tomorrow's episode is gonna have something massive. I think there's gonna be huge stuff happen. But episode 3 was a transitional episode, basically pivoting out of Act 1 into Act 2 and just setting up what's about to happen. Basically, very quick recap is Boba in the past finds out that his Tusken friends have been murdered. That's basically all you needed to know about the past in this episode. In the future or the present time, the Hutts send Black Chrysanthemum to go kill him. And he also deals with matters in the city of Mos Espa. Long story short, the Hutts come and say, look, we set you up by accident. It's actually the mayor that's the problem. And
the mayor and the Pikes, which is
the Pikes are the big problem.
Another criminal organization. And
And he pretty much tells Black Chrysanthemum, hey, no hard feelings. Take care.
Yeah, and he lets him go.
Yeah. He's like, just ignore that I used to wear Wookiee, braids on my body prior to this show coming out. We're gonna just ignore that. A lot of people don't remember that, but Boba Fett had Wookiee braids all over him. For whatever reason. I guess they're just kind of letting that go. The other part of this episode,
trophies,
is everybody's got to find something to hate about every episode of every show ever made. Was the street gang. He hires a street gang after this little bit of water thing.
He's building his family. He's building his
people
mafia
losing their minds. Those speeder bikes have different colors. This is Star Wars. There's no color in Star Wars. One, that's racist. Number two, people go, it's the Power Rangers. Like, what are you? I'm going to do this every week. What are you complaining about? What are you think that red, green, blue, and black don't exist on Tatooine? What is wrong with you people? That's your complaint. Well, they don't look like normal Star Wars people. Yes, they do. Did you watch Attack of the Clones? It was only any death sticks. What is wrong with you people? Well, I don't like it because it looks childish. It's Star Wars, you idiots! The whole thing is childish. You like starships, but you don't like speeder bikes. What? I'm turning into Maniscalco here. What are you doing? What are you thinking? They got the speeder bikes that go through my spot. I said, get off of the property. Get yourself some water. I don't know why I do that. I just gotta fly away. Anyway, look, guys, Star Wars fans, shut the hell up. Please stop. You're gonna ruin this for all this. We are so spoiled now because of the gods Favreau and Filoni. Shut up. Shut up. Focus on the good things. Like, a Rancor. There's a Rancor. He got gifted a Rancor.
That was the biggest, I think, the thing of this episode.
I was saving
is
it.
The Hutts.
Or
the Hutts gifted a Rancor.
Look, there's some Hutts. There's a gigantic Wookiee killer. No, those things were nice, but the bikes with the collars were just it's too much for me to shut up. Please shut up.
Yeah.
You are gonna screw us so bad if you don't shut up. Everyone's doing. You wanted 3 Spider-Men? They gave you 3 freaking Spider-Men. Shut up. Shut up.
That's the thing, is that right now it's a dangerous time because a lot of these studios will capitulate to the loudest voices on the internet.
Oh my God. I can't stand it. I can't stand it. There's nothing to complain about with this show. Nothing.
Yeah.
Not one thing. I
you can nitpick anything.
Boba Fett talks too much. It's his effing show, idiots.
It's his show.
He talks too much. Like,
he had 4 lines. I get it. He had 4 lines in the original trilogy, but this is an exploration of his character.
He talks too much.
Of course he's going to be talking in it.
Right.
Oh, my God. And Tamura Morrison is doing a fantastic job,
awesome.
by the way.
He's awesome. Listen, the only time in the history of geekdom someone said he talks too much, and I agreed, was in Batman.
Yeah.
Maybe that's because I have lines that were written for me in a way that I can only do it 4 syllables at a time. You are the best of us. That was too much. All right. In fact, it was so much that they made a whole Fat Man thing out of it that was hilarious. But my God, shut up. I am trolling the trolls of Star Wars. Shut up. Those bikes looked awesome. Shut up. I don't care if you don't think they looked awesome. They look at me. They looked awesome, whether you like it or not. Shut up. Please. I can't believe they had different colored bikes. My God, I don't have any rants about sports, but you screw with the Star Wars stuff, Ray. I get really pissed off.
Yeah.
It's just I can't. I'm losing my mind. I'm going to Maniscalco here in a minute again if I'm not careful. So I'm going to stop talking. Ray, your thoughts on Boba Fett episode 3?
Yeah, I thought it was a good episode overall. It's another Robert Rodriguez episode, so it was a little more quickly paced than the second episode, which I still think of the 3 is the best. The bike scene, I think, was a little. Yeah, I think Sensei mentioned it was Sensei a little slow.
Is right again. Yeah, you can tell that was recorded a certain way. It looked slow, but get this, I don't care. I don't care that it looked slow because it wasn't crap. Right? It didn't need to go 500 miles per hour. Right?
Right.
They're shooting during COVID. Shut up.
Yes.
By the way, you think that looks slow? Let me go back to the original Star Wars trilogy. I'll show you some things that looked a little slow. All right. Yeah. Like ships flying through an asteroid field. And then suddenly there's one the size of a planet that comes out of nowhere. That doesn't make any sense. All right.
Every lightsaber duel.
Yeah, right. Let's real quick. You and me.
Compared to what we get now versus what we got.
I'll be Vader. You be Obi-Wan.
Okay.
When I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master. I mean, that's the first one. Someone had to remake that for fun.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
God. Look, the bikes had different. What are we gonna hear next? No, there's no yellow lightsaber. There's no yellow lightsaber. Shut up. Yes, there is now. Okay, there's a purple one too.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yep.
Please.
Yep.
Idiots.
Casey mentions in chat the fan edit of that fight was amazing, and
It
yes,
was
we all agree
amazing.
there, Casey.
Yeah. You know what
Yes.
they're not going to remake though? They're not going to make that chase through Mos Espa ever.
Yeah. No, it just is what it is.
I mean, they gave you pod racing and you bitched about that movie. That was the best part of that movie. That scene still holds up.
Yeah, I will say if I was ranking the first 3 episodes, I'd go 2, 3, 1, but none of them are bad. They're just little things, honestly.
I think in tomorrow it's going to be 4 and then the rest of them.
I hope 4 is that good. We will see.
It's gotta
we will
be.
see.
Episode 4 always seems to be where they turn. And like, look, like they've introduced all the characters, and they've introduced the crime.
And they've introduced the
plot. My big reveal is I do think that Kira is going to show up. I have a strong feeling someone had to take over Darth Maul's operation. Like that is canon.
Yeah,
they're not going to just
too many crime syndicates
right
converging on Tatooine. I think you're right. We're going to see some ghosts from the past show up, and we're all for it.
Yeah.
Speaking of ghosts from the past, real quick, it was announced today also, courtesy of Sensei. Bad Batch season 2 will be dropping in the spring.
Yes, we will not be stream lounging all 87 episodes.
No, we will not be doing that again. So that is that. So I am. Yeah, no, we're not doing. We may watch it on our own time, but we will not be stream lounging Bad Batch, especially because that would have been a perfect transition. But I got one more Star Wars thing to talk about.
We'll do the transition. Just come back and blame me for it. It's fine.
It's okay. One last rumor though from Star Wars we need to mention is that there's a rumor that there's gonna be a Knights of Ren movie.
Yeah, or show.
There was a trailer that supposedly leaked. And
real quick before we move. If you didn't see this trailer, if this thing's fake, it's the greatest fake trailer ever made in history.
Yes.
It's too good. It's way too good to be fake. So yes, go ahead. I just want to say that because it's good. It's really good. It's very dark.
Yeah, but it basically shows one of the Knights of Ren in a dog fight, and he jumps out of his TIE fighter and takes down a Republic ship or Resistance ship, and it just it was amazing action. And if that's the trailer, if that's a for a show or for a film, if that's gonna be revealed at some point officially in some official capacity, I am all here for it. I think Lee is too, because it looked really, really good.
Totally. Yeah. You know what the biggest complaint from that's going to be is, well, then why is Kylo Ren such a wuss? And he beat them up so easily. Well, Kylo Ren wasn't a wuss, and maybe they'll redeem that character in some way because he does take them out pretty easily.
Yes.
But look, it's the one answer we never got. They were supposed to appear. By the way, this is where Disney just completely screwed the pooch. But they were supposed to appear in episode 8 and 9, and they got cut from both movies. And this is why you have to plan your movies, because you introduce them in The Force Awakens and then conveniently just left them out.
Yeah.
Stupid. That's not smart. Your audience isn't stupid.
Yeah. No, for sure. You got to be better. But again, I think Disney's learned their lesson. They've entrusted things to people who know what they're doing, at least in Favreau and Filoni. But again, we don't really know anything about this movie. We don't know if it's real. But if it is,
say it again, if that was fake, that's the greatest fake trailer I've ever seen in my life. Someone spent a lot of time doing that.
Yes. So we will see for sure what happens. But yes, going back to our transition, Bad Batch is dropping in the spring. But what's also dropping in the spring, and this is official now, March 30th, something we will probably stream lounge. The new Moon Knight television show got a new trailer doing the Super Wildcard Weekend Monday Night Football game, which was horrendous. We'll get into that later. But the new Moon Knight trailer dropped, and it clearly looks like there's some split personality stuff going on there.
Excellent.
Yeah, Mark Spector thinks he's a dude named Steve, and then he gets a phone call, and like the person on the other line is like, "Mark, thank God you're alive." And he's like, "Who the hell is Mark?" And it's kind of where it leaves off. And obviously he kind of has the costume. It's not like it kind of comes out of him, but it looks like it's going to be really trippy. You don't know what's real. You don't know what's fake because again, Mark Spector's head is so fragmented. I think it's going to be a really, really interesting look at the character, especially one of the more recent looks. And again, and we're going to get into this, we'll read this into our next thing. This is supposedly going to be set. There's supposedly Dracula's going to be in this. Supposedly they're going to start introducing. They might introduce Blade by the end of this. We know Blade was at the very end of Eternals.
I've been waiting for 4 months to talk about that with you. That's the only part of Eternals that was worth a damn.
Only thing that mattered was the very, very end Easter egg of Eternals.
Right.
And so that is a huge, huge deal because
The
now
Monsterverse is
everybody's
opening up.
talking about it. They are going to probably be doing Midnight Suns. So they're talking about Blade, Moon Knight, the Black Knight, which was also introduced in Eternals. There's talks of Wanda and Doctor Strange would head up that group after Multiverse of Madness. And there's also talks. The rumor is lends credence to the rumor that we talked about last week, is that Ghost Rider is coming back in Multiverse of Madness. It would only help to set up the Midnight Suns to take on extraterrestrial and supernatural things in the Marvel Universe. And of course, for those of you who don't know, if there's Ghost Rider, every Marvel fanboy is going to be able to say it now because there's probably going to be Mephisto. He's coming, folks. The damn devil himself is coming. At least that's what it looks like it's setting up. And Moon Knight is going to be really, Eternals touched on it. Moon Knight is going to be the jumping off point for this supernatural side of Marvel. And it makes perfect sense now that they delayed Multiverse of Madness till after Moon Knight ends. Right. I think that's going to be a big tie in there.
The Multiverse of Madness is going to have more than anyone's expected. So let's talk about Moon Knight. So Ray, a little trivia for you. I know how much you hate being put on the spot live. Oscar, sorry, you go, jerk. That's what you said to himself. Oscar Isaac, this is his third Marvel character. Can you name the other two?
Well, he was Apocalypse.
Yes, that was the easy one. The other ones, if you don't get it, it's okay if you don't get it, but you are going to go like, oh, yes, that's right. And he will appear as this character again. I should say he will portray this character again. That's a hint. He will voice this character.
Animated?
Yes.
I was going to say, so it's animated.
He will voice this character again.
Oh, I am going to kick myself. I'm trying. I can't think of it. I can't think of it.
Do you want me to tell you?
You can reveal it. You can tell it. You can say it.
2099. There's a hint for you.
That's so he's Spidey. Was he Spidey 29? He's Spidey. He's Spidey 29.
Spider 2099. So
that's great.
And what's funny about that is it looks like too, like, so it's not the only person who's playing two Marvel characters at the same time. Obviously, Haley.
There's a lot of folks into the Spider-Verse.
Harry Seinfeld is Spider-Gwen. It sounds like they might be bringing back live action Spider-Gwen as well. They're just going all in.
Yes, there is rumors that they're going to have that both Toby and Andrew now, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield will both have live action roles going forward as alternate universe Spider-Men. And that they're even talking about bringing back Emma Watson as
Spider-Gwen, which should be awesome. I'm actually all for like the strong. I'm also for Jane Foster becoming Thor. I have no problem with that. The people are going to complain about that too. I have no problem with that. Moonlight trailer looks great. Oscar Isaac is a really, really good actor. He's really
amazing actor.
Yeah,
amazing. Everything I've ever seen him in. Even when it's crappy scripts like Star Wars.
Yeah, he's great as Poe. It's like he just like we talk about great characters in bad movies. He has never been given his chance. I didn't hate Apocalypse. Everybody else did. I didn't hate that film as much as other people did, but it wasn't great.
No,
but he was okay.
It had its issues. I think that there were, and especially him as Apocalypse, he had his moments.
Yeah,
I think if anything, they should have spent more time with him as Apocalypse.
Yeah, look, that Sony didn't know what they were doing, but my point is that he has not been given a chance yet, and I think this is going to be awesome. Fox didn't know what they were doing, so I think so I think he's going to do great as Moon Knight, and they're totally opening up that side. Is this our transition into Eternals? Because I'm really excited to talk Eternals with you now.
Oh yeah, so now of course we were working backwards. So I finally watched Eternals. Of course, it hit Disney Plus last week,
right?
And I'm not going to lie, folks. I think it is easily the weakest of the Marvel films that we've seen. I think they ran in. I think it's their Justice League. I think they ran into the same mistake, is that they didn't spend enough time with a lot of the characters. They didn't establish a lot of the characters.
Assessment. Yeah.
And I think that also you run into the double-edged sword that with DC, it's an even bigger mistake because you have these amazing characters. Eternals in the comics have always kind of been a C-tier group because they're as you get into film, they're robots basically. they're not known for having these big personalities in the comics. They're just these interesting things planted there by the Celestials. Also, I'll say it was interesting. They basically reversed Tiamat and I can't think of his name. Asar, the main Celestial in this. They kind of reversed their roles in a way. In the comics, the main Celestial that sends the Eternals to Earth is actually the one who saves Earth from Tiamat.
Right.
And in this one, he's the one trying to use Tiamat to destroy the Earth. So that was a little interesting thing, little twist there. But I think also whenever you're dealing with something like the Celestials, dealing with the creation of the Marvel universe, and there are some big things they can do. They can introduce Galactus now,
Right.
who in one timeline is the arch enemy of the Celestials, and he goes around. The reason why he goes around destroying planets is not just to satiate his hunger, but he's specifically going to planets that have celestial seeds. So he's basically trying to kill the Celestials before they're born because they're arch enemies. That would be, you can introduce a lot more of the galactic cosmic Marvel beings now with this. But I think as a whole, especially with the way they did the time jumps back and forth from the past to the present to the past to the present, I really felt it was overall I thought it was a weak movie. I really do. I thought it was the weakest. I think it was weaker than Incredible Hulk. I think it was weaker than Thor 2. I think it was weaker than Captain Marvel. And I know there's a lot of folks out there who agreed with me. There were some who didn't, including the visual effects artist on the film, who basically tried to insult me on Twitter. And I was just kind of like, whatever. Like, that's my opinion, and most people agree with it. Sorry, buddy. You still got your paycheck. Like, buzz off.
If you guys want to help Ray out, check this out on Twitter, because this guy just clapped back in the dumbest way, basically saying, like, what would you rather watch, Eternal or this guy stream on Twitch? And I was kind of like, this guy's streaming on Twitch, which I've actually done more than watch the Eternals. But I wrote back
which
to him,
is free, by the way. At least watching me on Twitch is
right,
free.
right. You don't have to pay to have the pain. And then I tweeted back to him of like, hey man, if you can't take the heat, don't play the game. And he comes back, if you can't take my opinion, don't read my tweets. And then somebody else comments back, it wasn't really an opinion, was it? It was like a low blow, you jerk off. Anyway, that's what you get. It's not surprising to me that guy was involved in that movie. Look, this movie. Yeah, real quick. Sorry, Cotter52 on Twitch is asking about the sending that hockey picture. Yes, you can send it to me on Instagram at LeeMJElias. You can message it to us on Geeks. You can just post it if you want on the Geeks Facebook page. Cotter, appreciate you doing that. That's amazing. We got, for those of you listening, again, we have a fan at a Boston Bruins game watching this broadcast, which I think is just phenomenal. Cotter, that's just phenomenal. Cotter, you might win a free T-shirt for that. I'm not going to lie to you. Let's just get that to us somehow. I think I might send you a free Geeks T-shirt for that.
Yeah, communicate with Lee; they'll figure it out.
I will send you a Geeks T-shirt for that level of dedication. In fact, what is it? Exclamation T Ray. There we go. I think that's going to work. There we go. That's what the T-shirts look like for anybody interested. So, right, look, let's look at this movie, okay? There's not much to spoil. It's a standalone story, basically, as you said, the Eternals and the Celestials. Blah 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 blah. The things that mattered in this film were really three things. One, they are setting up something big in the MCU, and they needed to make this movie so they didn't have to explain it away like Captain Marvel at the last minute. That's why they released it now. These characters are going to return. They will have a major role, but I'll say it, every film they're in from now on will be better than this one. They just had to do this to explain it.
And much like Thor 2 and some of those other films that got better later on because of the stakes that they set up. Right in this, and that is a fair point too. We have to mention that if what Eternals sets up delivers on a payoff down the line, it could make this film better by comparison. But in this moment, right now, as a standalone film, and in my opinion, it is the weakest Marvel film.
Right, and I would agree on that sense. I'm not saying it was weak to the point of I hated it. It was tough. It wasn't easy to get through. But it was
2 hours and 40 minutes.
I would say it wasn't easy to get through, but it would have been better as a TV show. Would have been better as a Disney Plus show, for sure. But I think
was something I had said as well. Yeah,
it was made well before the pandemic. I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken. So like, there's a lot of things that are going on here. With that said, the two big things, two big takeaways, right? One, Ray already said, was that Blade is introduced while his voice is introduced at the end. Black Knight, they're introducing, I'm going to call it the Marvel Monsterverse, right? Because that's basically what it is, vampires and everything else. The other big reveal, and this is comic accurate, is that this is a spoiler, but a good one. This is like a spoiler you're going to want to know. Thanos Thanos is also a Eternal. In a way, and in the comic books, this is funny. Thanos's look, his purple look, is because he merged with a deviant.
Yes, he has deviant genes.
And if you look at Thanos's armor in any of the films he's in, it very much mimics Eternal armor. And obviously, Harry Styles playing his brother. That was the other Easter egg.
Yeah, Eros, aka Star Fox.
Right. So, did you want to dive into that?
No, I mean, it is a big deal. That is also comic accurate. You know, Star Fox does come in and help the Eternals at various points. He is a big deal. He is the counterpoint to Thanos, right? Yes. Whereas Thanos is all about hate and death, Eros is all about love and life.
Right.
And so it only makes sense that they're with Thanos, and then obviously with the Eternals, they're going to get back. They're going to get into Titan. They're going to get into these. Again, the grander cosmic scale of the Marvel Universe. This is a very important character. You also had Patton Oswalt as Pip the Troll, who's a teleportation specialist, who was hysterical to see him in full CG, completely CGI, but it's also hysterical to see, period. They're setting up something bigger. They are, but I think that, yes. I think that, again, one of the big problems was the reason why that Avengers worked was that almost everybody got their own individual film, or at least appeared in other films leading up to Avengers. With Eternals, this is a big thing that even folks before the movie hit Disney Plus had a complaint about, was we hadn't seen these characters ever at any point. They weren't hinted at, they weren't shown, and to kind of just be dropped in. And there still is the question mark. They tried to explain it with the line that we only interfere with things if it's deviant related. But again, this goes back to your point, Lee, where you should have at least gotten involved with Thanos.
Right.
And so that was kind of a weak way line. And you kind of, again, whenever you talk down to your audience, it doesn't sit right with most of us at this point. Like, most of us are pretty smart, we're smart marks, as we would say in wrestling. Right. And, I think that this was one of those moments where they thought they could kind of get away with that. It just didn't sit well with anyone in a lot of ways. So,
and the final fight just took forever too. It was just like, oh my God, we know how this is going to end. Just end it.
Yes, it definitely dragged there at the end for sure. And we kind of all saw what was coming. And here's the thing, because they also established the fact that they can constantly be rebirthed or reborn at the World Forge. Just because certain character, not to give everything away, just because certain characters died in this film doesn't mean they can't come back later, just without, with certain memories erased because of how that was established. So it's going to be interesting to see who comes back, who stays away. And I think it's going to be interesting to see what they're building towards, because they also split up the group at the end there. And I think it's going to be interesting to see who they follow, where they go, and if we get a full-blown Eternals 2, or they're just going to try and tie them into the larger universe, kind of like in segments, maybe in Easter eggs and whatnot going forward. And again, if there's a bigger payoff at the end, this could get better in my eyes. But in this moment, I did not enjoy the 2 hour and 37-minute slog. So,
yeah.
But, speaking of, there was jumping back and forth in time, like the Eternals, the Eternals did in terms of their narrative.
Thanks for that.
Yes. One other thing that happened this week, which we were super excited about, and we've talked about before on the show, and seems to be closer to coming to fruition than ever before. Quantum Leap looks like it is on the verge of being greenlit, coming back as a show on Peacock. Of course, starring Scott Bakula again. We called it again. That's what we do. So, Lee, I know you got to be pumped. I know I'm pumped. What are your thoughts?
It's too good not to happen. The thought process, and I'm glad they're not rebooting it, because they have a storyline built in. For those who don't know, Quantum Leap is a show about a guy named Scott Bakula, but Scott Bakula plays a guy in the show. All right. And he leaps within his own lifetime. He goes to different moments within his lifetime, trying to put right what what's been wrong. Just watch the intro, you'll understand it. But there's a really very popular episode where he does leap back to his future timeline, which is actually, I think, 2020 or something like that. Actually, it was earlier. It might have been 2000. Anyway, my point is he leaves back and he has a night with his wife. So what they could do is she got pregnant. She has a kid. And Sam Beckett's son, that's the main character, starts looking for his dad in his own quantum leap accelerator, leaping around trying to find Scott Bakula, right?
Yeah.
Which would be cool because he can leap back now to the 80s till now. That's what I would do. I would have Sam Beckett's son trying to find his father. It's a great story. You have a great platform to do it. Unfortunately, the guy who played Al Calavici has passed away, Dean Stockwell.
Yeah.
So there won't be an Al, right? They're going to have to explain that away. But man, that's exactly what I would do. Have his son look for the father. Sam Beckett never leaves home. It's there for you. It's there for you. Just do it.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens, but hopefully that'll continue to move forward here in Hollywood. And I mean, I would be more interested in that. You know, Peacock's been trying to really tap into a lot of that nostalgia. They brought back Saved by the Bell, which I have not watched. They also are doing that dramatic retelling of The Fresh Prince, which I will not watch. But this might be something that I think might get people on board with Peacock as that. I don't want to say it's struggling, but is definitely, I would say, on the B tier of
that's fair.
Of the streaming services at this moment.
Yeah,
so
that's very fair.
Yeah, but
I'm really looking forward to it, Ray. Just closing that out. I'm more like, okay, let's do this.
But speaking of lower tiers and lower and people at the bottom and just really not getting the job done, it's now time to move into sports, and we're talking about football. Talking about the NFL. Yeah, talking about the NFL playoffs. It was a big weekend. Lee and I both went 4-2 in our picks.
That's a winning
which is not a bad record for the weekend. Yeah, it's a winning. Anytime, honestly, if you have a 500 record or better in making playoff predictions, you're in good shape. So the fact we're 4-2 here after week one, we'll kick things off with some of the easier predictions. The ones we kind of got right. The Chiefs got off to a slow start against the Steelers. But as soon as the Steelers got that defensive touchdown, the Chiefs woke up. They scored 35 unanswered, I believe it was, scoring in all kinds of way. Wildcat stuff. Travis Kelce threw a touchdown pass, and they rolled 42-21 as Big Ben now is expected to retire as soon as the season is officially over. And it's done, basically. And the Chiefs move on. Really no surprise there. The Bucks, we said that the Eagles needed to play a perfect game. They needed to win the turnover battle. They did not do either. They scored a couple of late touchdowns, but the Bucks really dominated. But again, we talked about it. Your Eagles have a
as predicted, though. Like I said, again, what's funny about that game, Ray, is that Eagles made too many mistakes. I mean, even Jason Kelce made 2 penalties, which he made 1 penalty the whole season. You know what I mean? And it's like, wow, what the hell was that, man? But I didn't expect them to win. They're a rookie team. I think there were only 2 guys on the team from that Super Bowl thing. I'm sorry, Jason. I don't want to say Trent, his brother, but Jason Kelce is one of those players. Yes. His brother's still alive with Kansas City. Obviously, he didn't have to play last weekend. But look, here's the deal. Eagles Nation's going nuts. We need a quarterback. We need that. Now Russell Wilson is in the conversation for the Eagles. I'm like, guys, what are we doing? What are we doing? We just made the playoffs with nothing. I hate this about football fans, but Eagles fans. It's flip-flop. Last week, we were the greatest team in the world, made the playoffs. Young coach, young quarterback. This is the team. This is the team. Lose to the greatest quarterback of all time. This is not the team. This team has so many problems. We got to get rid of our quarterback. We got to blow the whole team. This is not the team. We have all guys. You have 3 first-round picks.
Yeah.
Like I said to
build
these
around this.
Star Wars
Build
fans,
around this.
Shut up, Eagles fans. I'm one of you, and I'm telling you to shut up. We have everything we need to succeed, right? We have everything we need to be great. Now, don't get me wrong. If we can get a if Russell Wilson wants to come to Philadelphia, right? That's not like you, Ray. I'm not going to say no to that idea,
right?
But
it's got to be a fair price.
Yeah, I'm not giving up a first-round pick for him. You're crazy.
Yeah.
So, Eagles fans, shut up. Just shut up. We weren't supposed to be in the playoffs this year. You know, Dallas has got their own problems. We're going to get to that in a minute. We're set up to be a great team again. Shut up. Please, I don't. Ray, the goldfish memory on fans. It's actually I'm starting to come like all the way around here. I was a fan for the longest time. Then I got into sports as a coach and stuff. I'm starting to turn on the fans a little bit because, like, guys, I used to take pride in thinking that Philly fans were knowledgeable, but I'm starting to not feel that way anymore. Like, what are you saying? What are you doing? I'm turning to the mascot. What are you talking about? We got first picks in the 3, 1, 2, 3. You want to fire everybody? Shut up. We're right where we need to be. Do you know what 31 of the teams in this league would do to be in the same position as us right now, including the Jags? Do you know what they would do to beat every freaking team? The Giants, everybody would do anything to have that many first round picks.
Yeah.
Shut up. God, so lazy. This is not the team. Yeah. We need a better quarterback. He sucked. Yeah, Jalen Hurts sucked in his first playoff game ever against the best quarterback and Super Bowl champions from last year. It's like, come on, we weren't playing the Pittsburgh. What are you guys doing? What are you doing? Stop it. So
It's all right, buddy. It's all right.
Oh my goodness. I can't say. This is why I don't listen to fan stuff, man. I want to, but I have a hard time. It's just like, man, this season was a success, no matter how you slice it. No matter how you slice it was a success. We weren't supposed to be there.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true.
I wanted us to compete. I did want us to compete a little bit more in that game, to be fair. I'm not saying we had a good game. I'm not okay with the way we played.
You don't want to be blown out.
Yeah, but man, let's be realistic. Just stop it, fans. Yeah. We're gonna be so set up next year, and I'm gonna remember this episode. I'm gonna call everybody out.
Yeah. Well, another quarterback that kind of also imploded in his first playoff start, and who also plays for a mascot of the avian variety,
an eliminated team.
Another eliminated team. And this is where we first split. Lee, you picked the Rams. I picked the Cardinals. I thought the Cardinals were going to shock a lot of folks this year. I really liked Kyler Murray.
They were skidding out.
But Kyler Murray, absolutely, the kid imploded. He didn't get any help from his receivers too. If you watch that game, those receivers dropped a lot of passes, deflected them right to the Rams.
They were out-coached too. Like this is where you got to look at Sean McVay. Sean McVay is a really good coach, and he out-coached them.
And Cliff Kingsbury now is going to come under a little bit of fire for what happened with that game. Right. The Cardinals, they did not look good whatsoever. They got absolutely decimated.
With JJ Watt kind of around too,
he was hanging around, but kind of trying to pep him up, but it just
they'll be back. They'll be back.
Yeah, the Cardinals have a good young core. They were also very banged up going into the postseason. But again, the Rams, people didn't know if Matthew Stafford was going to be Matthew Stafford in Detroit or be what he was here in LA this year. And he was what he was here in LA this year. They pulled out some trick plays, and the Rams they rolled 34-11. So that was one of my dings on my record this week. And now I'm going to say I'm picking the Bucks now, probably the repeat as NFC champs. Until the Bucks you got to beat the man. You got to beat the man. Yeah. And I am not going against Tom Brady. I'm picking Brady for at least the rest of the NFC. I still think the AFC champion will win it all. And I'm still sticking, obviously, by my Titans, who, of course, had the bye. Not my Titans, but the Titans who I chose for the AFC, as they'll host another team, as we'll get to that again in a second. But, Lee, this was it was the first playoff game on Monday Night Football in 35 years. And it was a disaster. It was absolutely horrendous, as were most of the games this weekend, actually. But yeah, the Rams won. The Rams rolled. The Rams looked good, as they will now head down to Tampa. But I still don't think they're going to beat Tampa Bay. So.
Yeah, we'll do predictions in a bit. But I just thought that, look, Sean McVay is a good coach. I think he's learned a lot. And that was a kind of almost a Bill Belichick kind of coaching performance on his part. Just, they outthought the Cardinals. Look, experience played into it for me. And that's the reason I picked them. I just think the Cardinals have been skidding out towards the end of the year, and I just didn't see them recovering, and they didn't.
No, and that's perfectly fair. That's perfectly fair. And obviously I was wrong there. But one young quarterback who did very, very well in his first playoff start. And this was the other place where we deviated. And this one I was right, and this one you were wrong. This was the one good game of the weekend. It came down to the wire. The Raiders had a chance to tie it on the last play of the game. I think they had 4th and goal. Or there was one knee after that, but it was basically the last half minute. But the Bengals in Cincinnati, we said it was the big difference, I think, was going to be that it was in Cincinnati. I do think that played a big part in it. There was also some bad calls by the referees with some quick whistles there. But the Bengals,
yeah, they're not refereeing the rest of the playoffs because of that game.
Yeah. The Bengals get their first playoff win in 31 years as they will now advance to the divisional round as they knock off the Raiders 26-19. This was the best game. Burrow had a great game. Derek Carr had a solid game, not as good as Burrow, though. Burrow's the real deal. I don't care what anybody says. Second-year QB, when he's healthy, him and Jamar Chase, that is a dynamic tandem that is going to burn the NFL for years to come.
I agree. Yeah, no, it was a great game. And like you said, the refs in that game will not be reffing another game in this entire playoffs because of that game. Oakland was they had a score taken away from them. It's tough, and it's even tougher that I picked them to win, and that would have given them the win. But I don't hold a grudge. Ray, not at all. I could have been perfect on my picks for the week, but it's okay. It was a good game, and Las Vegas had a great season. Did you say Oakland too? I didn't even say the Raiders.
I might. It's very tough to call them.
It
Vegas.
is.
They've only been there a couple of years.
The LV Raiders, great season. You know, it's funny. I talked about the why last week, Ray, and it's like when I started thinking about it, the Bengals had a bigger why with not winning in that long. And you know when I realized I made a mistake when I saw that tweet that was no one's ever tweeted about the Bengals winning. I was like,
and then the Bengals tweeted, send that tweet, send that text.
Yeah, there you go. So, anyway, and then there's one other game we got to talk about.
There's a couple. I do want to say also briefly from this game is that Rich Bisaccia, the guy who took over for John Gruden, it does not look like he's going to get a fair shake to take over and for the Raiders. They fired their GM Mike Mayock this week, despite going to the playoffs. And I'm going to say this: I think that I think Bisaccia should be the guy because clearly those guys responded to him. He kept that team together despite 2 guys being arrested for DUI, despite the John Gruden scandal, despite all that. The guy who stepped up as the interim coach, I hope he gets a fair shake there and that he gets an interview and gets some serious consideration for the Raiders because it's clear that those guys responded to him and that he cares about that team. So that's just my thoughts on
I agree with you, Ray. I do agree with you. And hopefully they don't. Look, Raider Nation's got to get this set. You got a good team now. Let's not turn into the Raiders of the last 10 years and just screw it all. Let's do something with it.
Yeah, if they stay healthy and if they draft well this year, they'll easily be back and could compete for the division next year. So one team that's going to be competing for the division for years to come before we get to our final game. This one we both were correct on. The Buffalo Bills beat the New England Patriots. But they didn't just beat them. They curb stomped the Patriots. It was the first perfect game in NFL history. 7 for 7 on touchdown drives until the 8th drive, which of course was just the kneel down drive. The only mistake they made was they missed 2 extra points, which hopefully that kicker doesn't do that.
By the way, we posted that. So it wasn't perfect. They missed 2 extra points. It wasn't perfect. I was like, dude, shut up. They've scored on every play. That's perfect. It's not bowling. What are you doing?
They got a touchdown on every drive.
Yeah.
And although it wasn't all on Mac Jones, right? I mean, Mac Jones had an okay game. He didn't have a bad game.
That's on the defense, 100%. It's like, if I'm Bill Belichick, I'm not going in and yelling at my offense. I'm like, you guys were a good defense. What happened? That's literally the worst performance in football history from a defense.
Maybe it was the cold weather. It was single digits at kickoff. And of course, it was negative degrees with the wind chill. But folks were saying that was going to affect Josh Allen. It did not affect Josh Allen. It didn't affect either of the offenses. It affected the Patriots defense, though. They looked like they didn't know what to do. They couldn't handle it. And Allen picked them apart. 5 touchdown passes. Absolutely unbelievable as the Bills roll over the Patriots. And it looks like it may be a bit of a changing of the guard there officially in the AFC East, at least at the moment.
Finally.
Yes. And now, finally, this one we both got wrong. And this was the one where
I've never been more happy about being wrong.
That is fair. That is also true. I almost pulled, like when you changed to the Raiders last week, the last minute, I almost changed to the 49ers.
Right.
And I kind of wish I had but honestly, this was, even though it was a close score, might have been the worst game of the weekend.
Oh my God. Just devastating.
Both teams played horrendously. Each team had one turnover that led to 7 points, but just a lot of penalties on both sides. The Cowboys tied the second most penalties in a playoff game in NFL history. And people were like, oh, well, that's the refs it's the refs' fault. It's like, no, those were legit penalties. You put your hand in a guy's face and jam his head back, it's a penalty. You hold a guy, it's a penalty. You jump off sides 3 times. Those are penalties, and those are easy penalties to call. The Cowboys looked lazy. CeeDee Lamb with being in motion, not setting himself on the line before Dak calls hike. That looked like preseason stuff. That's the stuff you work out in the preseason, not getting your timing down. Dak not making sure his receivers are set. Those were stupid penalties that the Cowboys shot themselves in the foot with all day long. But it did come down to the final play, amazingly. And then in one of the probably the most bonehead play calling.
I've never seen anything like that. Yeah.
Since we're seeing the Giants run back-to-back QB sneaks on their own 5-yard line against Washington 2 weeks ago. But this is a playoff game. You have no timeouts. It is pretty well known in the NFL. It takes anywhere between 14 and 18 seconds to get set after a play, especially a running play.
Yeah.
And for everybody who's saying, oh, well, the referee
they're still blaming the
bumped
ref.
into the offensive
Not
lineman.
the referee. It's not the ref. It's not the ref.
It's not. It's like, you should know in that scenario. First off, Dak should have slid 5 yards sooner. He should know in his head that he wasn't going to run all the way to the end zone on that play. He should have got up, given the ball to the ref, like you're taught to do, so the ref could spot it. The center can't spot the ball.
No, yeah, that was the problem with that play.
Yeah. And then the time ran out and they clocked it and there were zeros all across the board and that was it.
The refs made the right decision you're not pinning this on us. Like the time is out. You guys ran out of time. That's it. You didn't lose because of the one play. You lost because you didn't win the game. And you were gifted that series, by the way, multiple times.
Yes. So after changing the spot of the ball on the previous Niners drive and then the penalty, a penalty on the Niners then for a delay of game that forced them to punt.
Here's the deal. Neither one of those teams played well enough to win. Someone has to win, though. Okay.
Yes.
And Dallas, I'm not really putting this on the fans here. The fans are devastated. They are. Okay. But no, Dallas football, like in terms of the football team here, no, you are a division winner. You did not play like one. You didn't deserve to win the game. So that's simple. Why did you lose? It's not because of a last second play. It's because you did not show up to play in a playoff game at your own stadium. You looked nervous, incredibly undisciplined. You were not going to go past this round, even if you did win with that.
Yes. Yeah, no, they would be done. They would be done next week. They did not look like a playoff team.
Yeah.
And I will say this to on the fans, to all the folks who are throwing stuff at your own players as they walk off the field.
Let's talk about that. I want to talk about that, Ray. Let's talk about it because my whole life I've had to hear about Eagles fans throwing stuff on the field.
Giants fans too.
Oh, no, it is. Dallas fans throwing stuff. It's a new era in football, Ray. Yeah. I never want to hear from you again, Dallas fans, about that, about how disrespectful we are and how horrible it is. We didn't win a Super Bowl our entire history until 2017-18. We didn't win one. You've got plenty. You are not the class organization that you said you were fan base wise. I don't want to hear it again. You're just like us. You're annoyed with your football team and you want to know about it. Deal with it.
You brought yourself down into the gutter with us.
You got welcome to the Northeast, you idiots. No, I'm just kidding. You're not idiots. You're passionate football base, and now you know what it feels like. All right.
Yes. When the frustration boils over,
right.
It's not excusable.
Not a Philly
what you still did was a scumbag thing. But now you're
thing.
Scumbags like us.
You're scumbags like that's. It's like spies like us, but scumbags like us.
Yes.
Right? It's not doctor. It's football.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, and I'm gonna, and again, I also, and you gotta, and going back to your point, Lee, that this team was unprepared. Dak's press conference was a travesty. Again, trying to pin it on the referees. Like, people say how good a leader Dak is. Well, that was a moment where he didn't want to take the blame himself for choking.
Yeah,
you had Zeke Elliott crying in the post game conference because he knew he didn't do his job. Then you had Jerry Jones, my favorite with Jerry Jones with his stupid grandson being there. Grandpa, why didn't we win the game? I'm embarrassed, Jimmy Bob. I don't know why we didn't win the game. We should have won the game because this is embarrassment from our team. I don't know why I built a stadium in the middle of a sun field either. I thought they were going to build a skyscraper that was going to block their window, but then nobody wanted to be near our stinky, crappy-ass Cowboys. I don't know what happened. Maybe I'm a senile old coot who should be run out of the NFL 20 years ago. Blah! I hate Jerry Jones so freaking much.
It sounds like Cowboys fans are starting to hate him too.
Yeah, no, they're turning because I think everybody, if you're in Dallas, the Cowboys nation, I can understand that this is 27 years,
a long time.
27 years of losing now.
Yeah, well, listen, if you're 27 and you're a Cowboys fan, you've never seen him win. Think about that. Yeah. Right? Ray and I have to deal with all the ones who did see him win, and they're relentless and they don't shut up. And it's like, guys, the time to brag about the 90s has passed.
Yeah.
You've got a whole 2 generations of fans that's never seen your team win. You know who doesn't, Ray? The Eagles and the Giants.
Or the Giants. Yeah.
G-Man. Sorry, Cowboys fans, you deserve it. You deserve it. You deserve it.
Exactly. You brought this on yourselves because there's a lot of yous out there, like Lee saying, who still think it's 1995.
Yeah, it's not.
Who are delusional. You are not the cream of the crop anymore.
Yeah.
You're in the gutter with the rest of us.
You think I had to hear about how it's just like the NFC Championship games of the past? No, it's not. No, it's not, guys. That was 27 years ago. All right, it's like a modern. You're playing. It's not a big deal anymore. It's just a big deal to you, right? That's like when Colorado plays Detroit in hockey. Like, oh, it's just like the 90s. No, it's not. It's not a rivalry anymore.
Yeah.
All right.
No, it's not. Exactly.
You're not irrelevant, but that's not relevant.
Yeah. Also, can I just say how great it was to hear Tony Romo's heart break live on the air.
Yeah,
he called that game.
Yeah, he did.
You could hear it. You could hear because Romo's like, it's fine. He'll spike the ball. It's fine. It reminded me of that Simpsons episode where Homer's like, it's just a little airborne. It's still good. It's still good. And then Bart goes, it's gone, Dad. He's like, I know. And that's what happened with the Cowboys.
Right. Well, it's just like Dak had his Tony Romo sitting on the goal line with his hands on his helmet crying moment. And then he blamed it on the refs. When he botched
the extra point, holding the extra point.
Yeah,
right.
And then he blamed it on the refs.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
All right, let's go with
also,
4.
Quick
let's
shout out.
Winning team.
Also, quick shout out to Troy Aikman, who was mad that he had to call the Eagles and Bucks game.
Yeah, you guys stuck me here with the Eagles. Yeah. Well, he's probably lucky he didn't do that. He would have had. So I love the.
He probably would have. His heart. He would have had the same reaction as Romo.
Well, except he would have. When I played, we won.
That's fair. That's fair. Oh goodness! I will say this. Actually, a rare thing happened last night. I actually had to stick up for Troy Aikman last night because some folks came in here and were adamant that Troy Aikman was a terrible quarterback.
What?
And
who?
I'm not going to call him out. He's a regular.
Proof's in the pudding. Proof is in the pudding on that one.
Yes.
His career speaks for itself.
Yes. Also, you got to remember, as I explained to them last night, it's as if you're trying to compare two different eras of football.
Can't do it.
It's like saying Terry Bradshaw was a bad quarterback because he threw a lot of interceptions. Different era of football. Totally. Terry Bradshaw won 4 Super Bowls
in a row.
2 and 2
in a row.
Yes, but still, and Troy Aikman won 3. Again, and yes, he was part of the triplets. You had Emmitt Smith and you had Michael Irvin. It definitely helped, but he also had a great defense. And again, nobody hates singing praises for the 90s Cowboys more than I do, but even I have to admit, they're not those guys obviously belong in the Hall of Fame.
I don't care how much greatness when you know greatness. He's great.
Yeah, so speaking of greatness, who will be great this week as we now move into the divisional round and we make our picks?
Have some surprise picks here, but we'll see.
I think one of the easier ones. I think we'll kick off with the NFC. We'll stick with the NFC. Niners, of course, beat the Cowboys. Niners now head to Lambeau Field to play Green Bay.
Yeah.
If the Niners were healthy, I would go with San Fran. But now they're not sure if linebacker Fred Warner will play. Joey Bosa is most likely out with a concussion. So the two hearts of your defense are out. And now Jimmy G, it might be Trey Lance starting because Jimmy G also hurt his shoulder against the Cowboys. He might not be able to play. If the Niners are without Jimmy G and without these other players, I really don't see how they go into Lambeau against one of the top-ranked defenses in the league. Aaron Rodgers with a chip on his shoulder. I hate to pick the Packers, but I think that I'm going to have to pick the Packers.
No, I'm picking the Packers too, and in probably a game it will be close in the first half and then end in the second half. The Pack's going to run away with it. They have too much
the Niners
will
will run out of steam.
They're healthy. They needed that rest, and the way the Niners played last week is not building any confidence in me that they're going to compete against the top team in the NFC. So you and I both picking the Pack at Lambeau, by the way.
Yeah,
where they don't
I
lose.
agree. To both taking the Pack at Lambeau, yes. Moving on now to going down from the coldest stadium in the NFL to probably one of the warmest, going down to Tampa. The Rams are going cross country to visit the Bucks. I honestly think this is going to be a very good game, especially again, Tampa Bay's a little banged up. Their right tackle Tristan Wirfs was in a walking boot. He's going to be a game time decision. There's a couple other Leonard Fournette might not be back in time. Their number one running back. But you still have Tom Brady and you still have that amazing receiver core with Evans and with Gronk. Their defense is still pretty solid. I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a really hard fought game. I think it's going to come down to the wire. But because I think the Rams have to go to Tampa Bay and not the other way around, I'm going to say the Bucks by 3. I'm going to say by one possession.
I am disagreeing. I think the Bucks championship run ends here. I think the Rams will win this game, and I think it has nothing to do with Tom Brady. I think Tom Brady will actually play okay. It is the Bucks defense that I think is going to have an issue. I think McVay is going to pick them apart. Ray, we just saw the Rams dominate, and Cooper Kupp did not get, I think, more than 2 receptions that game. They have not even deployed.
He was not a non-factor. Yes.
Yeah, they did not even deploy their best weapon. And that was coaching. That was actually a brilliant job and you can tell that Arizona just totally botched the coaching on that. Just totally. They were ready for that and it didn't happen. The records are very similar. I believe there's one game. I think the Bucks had one more win. I'm picking the Rams. I think the Rams are going to win this week. I do. And again, look, my brain is telling me don't bet against Brady, but my gut is telling me to go with the Rams. And again, I don't think Tom Brady's the issue. I'm going to say that again. I think the Bucks can win this game if Brady has one of his games. Those 5 touchdown amazing games.
I mean, it's any given Sunday. We talk about it all the time, right?
I think the Rams are ready to go. I don't think the offenses are going to be the difference though. I think those defenses are. Oh. So I'm picking the Rams.
That's
I'm
fair.
doing it.
That's fair. That is fair.
I won't be upset if the Bucks win, though. I will say that, but I think that
no. I mean, honestly, I'm going to say it right now. Whoever wins between the Bucks and Rams is who I hope wins the NFC.
Right.
Because I hate both the Packers and the 49ers.
I agree with that.
Moving on. Yeah. Moving on to the AFC. These are the matchups. These are going to be great games, I think, in my opinion. These are going to be some fantastic matchups. The Bengals heading down to Tennessee. I said it last week. Part of the reason why I'm picking Tennessee to go all the way is Derrick Henry will be back. If he is Derrick Henry before he got hurt, nobody's going to stop him. He is he's going to be rested, and he is a beast. He is new Marshawn Lynch. He will go beast mode, I think, on the Bengals. I think the Bengals will put up some points, but I think that you're not going to be able to contain Henry. And then when you have Henry there, that opens up the play action pass. And Ryan Tannehill is one of the best play action passers in the league. I think that opens up, Julio Jones is back for them now. They're healthy. They've gotten healthy on offense at the right time. That's why the bye was so important for Tennessee. I think Cincinnati's going to put up a fight, but I think the Titans are going to win this one.
Yeah, Ray, I'm going to agree with you on that. Bengals had a great season, but outside the miracle of Team of Destiny, which is possible, I can't see the Titans losing that one. They're not evenly matched, and as you said, they're going to be quite healthy and hungry and ready to go. I'm picking the Titans too.
So the Titans are going to look to try and get back to the AFC Championship, and I think now we go to the next matchup, and this is another intriguing one. It's Bills and Chiefs. This is something that's becoming kind of a regular thing now.
This is the game to watch. This is the game everybody wants to watch.
This is going to be a good one. This is going to be high scoring. This is going to be, I think you're going to see a bit of, you're going to see a shootout. I think that, I think how Kansas City starts will determine who wins this game. If Kansas City gets off to a start like they did with Pittsburgh, where they don't wake up till midway through the second quarter, I don't think they're going to be able to come back quite like they did against Pittsburgh with Buffalo. But I do think that I don't think Kansas City will start slow. And I think that, again, in a shootout, in a high-scoring game, I think the Chiefs are going to pull this one out. And I think Josh Allen is going to be trying to figure out how he gets past Patrick Mahomes, and kind of almost what's going to turn into almost feel like a Manning versus Brady earlier in the career, as Mahomes, I think, continues to get best of Allen in the biggest moments. And I think that what you're going to see is that I think that it's going to be Chiefs versus Titans in the AFC Championship in another fantastic game.
I'm picking the Bills.
Ooh.
I'm picking the Bills. And I'll tell you why. And it actually really pains me to say this, because I think this game is going to come down to clock management.
Oh, and Andy Reid is horrible at that.
Even though he's won a Super Bowl, I don't have any faith in Andy Reid's ability to have clock management. I don't think he's learned a thing over his 20 years in the league. And I think it's going to come down to that final series, and I think the Bills are going to edge it out.
That could happen. I could see that happening. I think, again, it could be one of those last possession kind of games. I think it's gonna be a good one, though. But
I like the Chiefs. I do. I like Mahomes, but I just think the Bills look super hungry, Ray. They look ready to kill.
No, they do. They do.
Yeah.
I'll say this: I'm picking with my head. You're picking with your heart.
Yeah. My gut.
Yeah,
my heart picks the Eagles. They're not available. They're not available to be picked right now. But I think it's going to come to clock management, and I think that will not benefit the Chiefs.
Oh, there you go.
And again, we say this all day. If Mahomes has one of those games, it's just unstoppable. Of course they're going to win. But that's any quarterback in the league. They have a great game,
Yeah.
Except for Tom Brady.
For sure. Any given Sunday, you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You never know what's going to happen, but it'll be interesting to see. So both me and Lee are 4-2 after wild card weekend, going into the divisional rounds. Again, Lee's picks are the Packers, Rams, Titans, and Bills. I'm picking the Packers, Bucks, Titans, and Chiefs. King Finetto just dropped into chat here and also mentions for Tennessee, don't forget AJ Brown, who's another big wide receiver threat for them.
It's the Titans' game to lose. I mean, it's totally their game.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
And also agrees that their play action is crazy.
Yeah.
It's
if they lose that game, it's a game. It's a game. They're going to lose it more than the Bengals are going to win.
If they pull a Dallas Cowboys, the Tennessee Titans will lose that game.
That's the any given Sunday. I mean, this is one of those things of, it's so much easier to predict playoff series in hockey and basketball because it's over the course of a series, right?
Yes.
But anytime you pick football, it's a gun to your head thing. You know what I mean?
Do or die. It's one and done. It's one team trying to win 3 or potentially 4 games in a row to hoist the Lombardi Trophy.
Right.
It's why it's so special, is that it's not easy.
And only one team does
There's a lot of time between games, a lot of downtime, and a lot of guys like us prognosticating on what's going to happen on come Sunday. But one thing I can tell you that we can predict the future on is the Australian Open.
Yes.
And who is not going to win it this year? Novak Djokovic, or as they call him down in Australia, Novak's Djokovic. My friend down in Australia.
Tabloids, you guys will never stop. You got him.
Yeah. Banned from Australia, and he can appeal this next year. Not just banned for this Australian Open, banned for the next 3 Australian Opens. Of course, he can appeal this next year. I mean, and of course, he can also just get the vaccine and kind of make this all go away. But this was a big deal. Obviously, Djokovic, one of the best players in the world, if not the best player in the world, having to pull out of a Grand Slam tournament to try and break a record down there. And now there's also rumors that he might not be allowed into France for the French Open either. We talk about it all the time in the show, folks. There's consequences for your actions. There was also a lot of stupid stuff around this. Like supposedly his team tried to forge some documents and they mislabeled some stuff and all this other stuff, which just did not help his cause at all. But Australia is taking it very, very seriously. If you're not vaxxed and trying to come into the country for no matter what, you better have a really good excuse. And they felt the Australian Open was not a good enough excuse for Novak Djokovic. So Lee, your thoughts on this?
Oh man, I don't know where it's. I'm like tired of discussing it, man. Look, he makes the choice. He knows the consequences. It's tough to talk about, Ray, because like, I've been saying this. Like, the problem is people judge you no matter what you say. But like, we got to learn to live with this at some point. But countries and businesses also have the right to make these decisions. You know what I mean? So I don't want to get into the vax talk. I don't judge, but I don't understand at this point why you wouldn't do it. I don't know what evidence there is to support the theory outside some ego of you can't tell me what to do.
Yeah, that's what it is. I think at this point.
Oh, I mean, that's what I think it is too. I said this in the beginning when the vaccines first came out. I understood the pushback. I really did. I was like, yeah, you don't know what's in it. It's new. I understood people wanting to wait. Things are still shut down. But it's not even just science. The statistics are there. The statistics are there and they're clear. Again, I'm married to a doctor who sees this on the front line, and Ray knows my wife. She is not someone looking for fame in any possible way. Right?
Yeah, and she's not one prone to hyperbole either.
No, quite the opposite.
Right.
If you're vaccinated, you will survive. I don't understand.
Yeah.
And if you're not, you may also, but it's much, much, much more dangerous. So
99% of the people in the hospital right now for COVID are unvaccinated.
Yeah. And people are still dying that are unvaccinated. So I
I
don't know what people want. If you want to make it political, if you want to make it egotistical, I'll just say this again. This is like my PSA. COVID does not care who you are, what your political preference is. Doesn't care what you think about the bikers in Star Wars Boba Fett. It's coming to get you.
Red, blue, purple, green, it don't matter.
Yes. And yes, there will be more variants, and yes, it'll endemic itself. But I just don't get it.
We could expedite that if you all just got the jab.
I don't know anyone who has gotten the jab and died. I can tell you that. Don't know anybody.
There are rare.
There's the microchip. There's the microchip they're implanting with it. So,
yeah.
And
let me tell you, all those microchips, Lee, all those microchips we were installed with is what allowed Microsoft to buy Activision.
Yes.
It's working. It's all working.
Like,
our plan.
I've always said it, man, people are like, the government's trying to guess. Like, you think they could pull off something like that? They can't even run the post office. You think they could pull something evil and diabolical off like that? They can't run the post office. Come on.
And I can attest to the fact they can't run
it's
the
like
post
this goes
office.
from A to B. A to F? No, A to B. 1 to 6? A to B. Oh, I threw it out. So, yeah.
Don't get me started on my troubles with the post office. But anyway, yeah. So, yeah. Probably a bunch of Cowboy fans run the post office. Anyway,
I need some trash to throw. NHL All Stars, right? And the Nets. We got lots of stuff to talk about.
Yes, I was just about to say, we speaking of Activision, though, going back to Microsoft and Activision, this is interesting. And the Metaverse, the Nets, this is a case of it's still too early, I think, in the technology, but it is an interesting idea. And I think my hope is, I'll say this, if they stick with it and keep investing in it and keep improving on it,
right,
it will be the first step in the future, but they have to stick with it. The Nets are making something called the NFT, the Netaverse.
Netaverse.
Yes. Where you can watch games in the Metaverse, but from the Nets and see a perspective. And it looks like an NBA 2K game from 15 years ago. It doesn't look that great, But again, this is why I kind of prefaced it with this, is that if they stick with this, this could be the future, but it's very early. It's very early.
It's got to start somewhere. Okay. And that's the thing is that, and look, what I saw, it was actually, I didn't think it was as stupid as you thought it was, Ray. I mean, like, look, what I see is a digital ticket, right? A token, an NFT. You buy, you put a headset on, and you're at the game. You're at the game. Now that will evolve drastically. I think, you know, what I didn't like is in the trailer for it, like, it's just like watching NBA 2K. I was like, why would I want that? I just want courtside seats. Why can't you do that? So I think what's going to happen here is it will evolve, but guys, let's take a step back. It's a major deal that you can put a headset on and be at the game. This isn't the first time this has happened in the NBA. I know Golden State was doing something like this. Right?
Golden State, the Lakers were doing something like this as well.
Right,
so
here's the nice thing about Netaverse or Metaverse NFT season tickets. There's an unlimited amount.
Yeah,
people have to understand this. You can sell an unlimited amount of season tickets. Like, Ray, I mean, Giants are a bad example. Yankees, right? Like, what would you pay for what Yankees season tickets?
Well, this will replace MLB.TV. This will replace Red Zone. Will play NBA All Access.
A New York Yankees season ticket is stupid expensive, right?
Thousands of dollars.
I mean, what if they came to you and said, "Hey, for $200 or $50, you can have every game. You can have you're there, and you're there." I would do that. I would do that. So it's a major step. And Ray, I'm going to geek out here. I wrote about this in my master's thesis about how in the future, tickets will be digital. You'll put a headset on and be at the game, and the tickets will be sold that way.
You can still go in person.
Yeah, and you can interact with other fans. It's gonna totally be the future.
Yeah.
It's just like when people scoff at tech like that, I just go like, man, go back 20 years ago. This is insane that we can even do this. Insane.
Yeah.
It's insane. So I'm excited about it. The Netaverse.
No, for sure. And I completely understand its appeal too.
Yeah. I don't think the Netaverse is going to work, but I think the idea of it's going to work.
Yes, exactly. I think we agree on that point. I think. So an interesting thought there for sure. Other NBA news next week, we may be able to talk about the NBA All Star Game selections, but instead this week we have the NHL All Star teams were announced. A couple of Rangers made it. A couple of Flyers. Yes. Mika Zibanejad, actually 3 Rangers were selected. Mika Zibanejad voted as the last man, and then said, I don't care that I was voted in by the last man for personal reasons. I'm not going to the All-Star game or All-Star weekend. Thanks. Yes. But Chris Kreider and Adam Fox will still go for the Rangers, representing us, of course, our Norris Trophy winning defenseman last year. And Chris Kreider, who has really become the heart and soul of the team in the last couple of years. And Lee, what are your thoughts on NHL All Star Weekend? Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of surprised the weekend's still happening. But what do you think of the selections on this? Yeah,
I think that. I mean, first off, I don't like that the NHL feels like they have to pick a player from every single team. Yeah. Like just pick the best players in the league. They did that back in the 80s. It was awesome. Yeah, you had 8 to 9 Edmonton Oilers on the team, but they deserve to be there. That's what an all-star team is, right? And like I understand the representation clause of just like, well, we want all the fan bases to be invested and cheer for their all-star, but look, it's tough because in a year that they said you can't go to the Olympics, they want us to watch this tournament all-star game during COVID again or during whatever's going on. I don't have much interest. They're fun games to watch, but I can see why the players are like, oh man, why can't we just have 2 weeks off like we wanted? So it'll be. I'll watch it. I didn't mind the tournament last time. Like, it was fun to watch. It's different, but I mean, I'd just rather be watching NHL hockey at this point.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at, especially because we know they're going to have to make up a lot of the games lost to COVID. This kind of feels. Yeah,
what they should have done is the World Cup. Or run their own Olympics again. That was really fun last time they did that. I don't know why they're not doing that again.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting situation, but the All-Star game, I don't know. It's just there's not as much excitement around it this year as I thought there would be in the past. I was more excited about the Winter Classic this year. That says something.
Yeah, no, for sure. And as Andrew pointing out in chat, like you mentioned, Nick Suzuki got added to the team because every team had to be represented, and Suzuki, there's just not a lot of good folks up in Montreal right now, but somebody had to go, and so Suzuki's the guy. And and that's it. And it's just one of those things where it's like, this isn't the best of the best. And yeah, I kind of even forgot that there was going to be an all-star game until today when I heard all the announcements. So
that's what I'm trying to say. Is like, it's a shame. But let's quick talk about the league, because shout out, the Flyers are losing. Yeah, the Flyers haven't won a game in a month. They are in deep trouble. As I reported, and I wrote an article about this kind of as a under a pen name before the season, they don't have an identity and they need to find one. I thought they made really good moves in the offseason. I thought the season starting with the Flyers, they looked really good, but they have completely lost their way. COVID decimated them. Injuries have decimated them, and they can't find their way back. They lost again tonight in a shootout to the Islanders. So that team is probably going to get blown up. I am saying it. I think they're going to trade Claude Giroux. My guess would be that he's going to go to Colorado or the Los Angeles Kings. And they need to get some good young players and some draft picks back. They're not going to get a first round overall. Claude Giroux is too old. But it might be time to blow this team up. But really, above all, problem is, ever since Ed Snyder died, the owner of this team, they have not had any leadership from the top. They're owned by a business in Comcast who has diverted interest.
Yeah, Comcast is terrible.
Yeah, they got to get somebody in that team that cares. My suggestion would be to bring in Rick Tocchet as the head coach and make some moves and get tough again. I don't mean Broad Street bully hockey. I'm not talking about fighting every 10 minutes. Get tough. This team has no toughness. We had a power play last night, and the opposing team had more shots than we did. Tough to get behind that as a Flyers fan. But with that said, I will wear orange and black forever. Ray knows that. I still support the team, but this team needs to be blown up. I'm not happy with the way they're playing at all right now. No fight.
Yeah. Meanwhile, just a short hour and a half north of the Flyers, my Rangers continue to roll. Had a bit of a break though. Had a couple of big games this week. Rangers play the Leafs and the Canes. As we're fighting again for the top of the division with the Canes. We right now, as of this moment, we have the same amount of points. The Rangers are playing well. Shesterkin came back after he missed a couple more games for COVID, but Georgiev continues to be a very, very able backup, which is why the Rangers have kept him around. And Shesterkin, when he is on the ice, continues to probably be the best player on the ice. And when you need that, especially when come playoff time, if your goalie's the best player on the ice, you usually will win those games. The Ranger offense is still a little inconsistent, but again, we've also been, much like a lot of teams dealing with COVID, guys have been called up and called down. Morgan Barron came up and a couple other guys, Libor Hayek has been called up at different points. And of course, now we have a Leafs and a Kane fan here in chat. And of course, they're trying to rag on the Rangers. We'll see, guys. It's also only the midway point of the season. This will be games 40 and 41 for the Rangers. We'll see what happens. I think it'll be 37 and 38 for the Leafs. Not sure how many games the Canes have played. But it just it's going to be interesting to see what this is a good litmus test for the Rangers, a good litmus test for the Leafs and the Canes as well, because these are going to be three teams that I think, especially at this point, we can kind of start to say, barring an epic collapse or terrible injuries or the like, it's going to be interesting to see how these teams stack up against each other this week as we go into the next few days. Everybody's turning to 2 now. Yeah, best of luck, everybody. Best of luck. Yes. Yes, all that matters is playoff time. Once you get to the dance, we'll see what happens. But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting test for all three of those teams here this week. Again, Rangers are 25, 10, and 4. The Canes don't have that record, but they have the same amount of points. I'm not sure what their specific record is. And the Leafs have 51 points, I know, at this moment. Concluding hockey, really something really great up in Boston tonight. Something that's been a long time coming. Willie O'Ree, the first African-American or African North American player to play in the NHL, had his number retired by the Bruins tonight in a disgusting effort as the Bruins absolutely got rolled over by the Canes. But Willie O'Ree, long time coming. It was a great night for him. The whole entire league celebrated it. And so, yeah, good for him to have his number retired by Boston as it should be. Something that is a long time coming. He retired in the late 60s So you can imagine again, this is a long time coming, and thank goodness he was. I believe he's still around to see it.
He is. He's around. He was there at the game
Yes.
tonight, and again, it was around the league. Most games tonight celebrated him. The Flyers did a whole moment for him before the game tonight. Real classy.
Yes. 86 years old. 86 years old. Andrew, that's why I know. Yeah, African Canadian. That's why I said African North American. I changed it to African North American there after I said that, Andrew. I know that he's from New Brunswick, Canada. I know. I corrected myself before you corrected me in chat. I said African North American because that technically is still that's accurate. Canada's North America too. But yes, African Canadian. But yeah, so a great moment there for sure. That does it for the bulk of the show, the main sections of the show. And now it brings us to one of our favorite segments, of course, which is our mashup. Lee, as always, came up with it on the fly.
It's no big
like
deal.
A cat, lands on his feet, ninja-like reflexes, ninja vanish. Poof. What TV show or movie do you want to experience in the metaverse?
Sorry, the way you did that was funny. You held that S real long.
Thank you. Oh, the metaverse.
Ray, would you like me to go first?
Lee, what TV show or movie do you want to experience in the metaverse? You put the question out there. Also, of
there's
course,
a
chime
lot.
in chat. Chime in. Yeah,
There is
a lot.
Okay,
There is a lot.
We all know I'm a huge Back to the Future fan. I'm a Star Wars fan. But I'm trying to think of something that's like, what's realistic? What's something you could get into a game, have it make sense, right? Right, Ray?
Mm.
And this is what I came up with, Ray. I want to jump in the car. I want to jump into the car, Ray, and I want to say, "Hey, Kit, where are we gonna go?" And Kit's gonna say, "Let's go someplace together." And I'm gonna be like, "Yes, this is what I want. I want Knight Rider. I want to drive in the Knight Rider car." Ray, I'm talking over the song, so you don't get copyright flung here. But like, can you imagine put a headset on and there's just, I don't know, dun, 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 you're like, what are we doing? Hello, Michael.
Yeah.
I would like to do Knight Rider to start. I would really like to drive around Ecto 1 into the DeLorean. But that would be a fun game.
No, that would be awesome. And I mean, especially if you could get William Daniels to still come back and do the voice of Kit. That would be.
You don't even need to. Just deep fake a voice now. It's funny is in Ready Player One. So Ready Player One in the Oasis is really the metaverse. And what's funny about it, Ray, is that in the metaverse or in the Oasis, you can redo movies. Like you can play the main character in a movie. That's something that they predicted became a future thing, and I think that's actually going to happen.
Yeah. No, I think we're going to get to that point as well within our lifetimes, and that's really exciting to think about.
That is.
For sure. Cotter mentions in chat The Wizard of Oz. That could be fun. It could be a fun world to explore.
Yeah.
But for me, I would want to go back to the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man films. I'd like to be in that world. I'd like to be web swinging, especially because that was especially a couple of years after, probably after Spidey 2, New York was really bouncing back at that time.
Right.
It was a good time to be there. That was right around when me and Lee were working in New York. Actually, that was because I remember Spider-Man 3 came out when I was an intern.
We all went together.
No, not Spider-Man 3.
Maybe I saw that with the other.
Spider-Man 2, I want to say, but Spider-Man 3, because I remember Spider-Man 3 was my first red carpet premiere that I worked. I remember that.
Oh, that's right.
That's why that sticks out in my head. And I produced one of my mentors, my buddy Brad Blanks. Brad Blanks was there as the red carpet reporter, and I was there as the producer. And I was telling him to ask, I'm blanking on his name now, the guy who played Dr. Kirk Connors. I said, ask him about being the Lizard in a Spider-Man 4, and it was one of the better segments we did that night, because the dude who got to play Dr. Kirk Connors, who I'm so sorry I'm forgetting your name right now.
I can look it up if you want real quick.
Yes, I'm trying to find it as well. Let's see. He was like so thrilled to talk about it. He was one of us. He was one of us. Clearly one of us.
One of us.
Yes. So let's see. Going through all this, having to Google it so I can, because I should have been better prepared.
Gosh,
to be fair, we didn't have the the question until about 20 minutes ago. So, but Dylan Baker. I was gonna say Dylan Baker. I knew it was a Baker, but I knew it was like it's not D. Bradley Baker. That's Star Wars again. Dylan Baker, of course, who played Dr. Kurt Connors in the Tobey Spider-Man. But that was a great segment. It was a little good thing for me. So, and there it is. There's Cotter.
Listening, I'm showing the picture.
Watching us. If you're listening at home, Cotter from chat, watching us while at
That's
the
awesome,
Canes and Bruins game. He is our fan of the week.
That
we appreciate it. Nobody else can take that away.
That's awesome,
yes.
dude. And you're in Canes gear at TD Bank Garden, kicking the crap out of the Bruins, watching us.
Yes.
That's a fan right there. I've saved that.
Yes.
Saved
that we really appreciate that he sent that to us and that we were able to get that on the air. Yeah, with the pick. Yeah, you took the pick. We put the pick there. So if you're watching on Twitch, you can see it. If you're listening at home, just take our word for it. But thank you, Cotter, for doing that, buddy. And I'm glad I'm glad you had a good time at the game. Obviously, your Canes rolled. And your birthday's coming up. Happy birthday to you, Cotter. Yeah. So there you go. So I would go with Toby Spider-Man. Lee would go Knight Rider. Cotter in chat says the Wizard of Oz. Those are all good choices, but we want to know what you think.
Everybody's gonna be Avengers.
Probably.
I just want to relive the portal scene. Avengers assemble. Yeah, that's everybody's like.
If you pop out of you could pop out one of the portals. That'd be fantastic. Like, who are you dropping in today? Oh, I'm dropping in with Doctor Strange today.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm Howard the Duck today.
Yeah, I'm Howard the Duck today.
Why you let him lick you like that? Disgusting.
Oh man. Andrew now jumping in chat saying Batman 89. That's a big one. That's a very good one.
That's coming back. Batman Beyond. Yeah. Called it here, just like Xbox becoming the God world.
Yes. It is happening. It's happening. Unlimited
power.
Cotter says another good one. He would do the Dark Knight. Nolan's The Dark Knight.
I don't want to live in a dark. You know, I want to live in a happy place, man. Like, everything is awesome.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. That would be interesting. How do you get it? Get into an animated thing?
I get in a Lego world. How about this? A world where pirates don't rip apart trains. There's no pandemic. I would like to go back to the world before the pandemic. That's what I'd like to do. How about that one? No, it's wonderful, guys. Thanks for pitching in here tonight. We had a lively crowd here tonight, and Cotter, thanks for sending that pic. We're gonna put, with your permission, Cotter, we're gonna put that all over our social media because that is awesome. That is, you made our night with that one.
Yeah, thank you, buddy. Much appreciated. Glad your Canes won for you tonight.
And for those
can't wait for the Rangers to beat you on Friday.
For those of you listening, especially Matt Cavalieri, who we almost forgot to mention, but the very last second
we got it in at the wire.
Yeah, Vancouver Canucks fan who lives in England. Go figure. I don't know why would you pick a West Coast team with an 8-hour time difference, Matt?
Farthest away.
I actually know the answer to that. There is a good answer to that, but come on, dude. Could have picked anyone. You picked the Nucks. He would say it wasn't his choice. By the way, I'm gonna get a text at like 7 a.m. Like, it was my choice, and I picked it. Matt, we love you, buddy. Thanks for being our biggest fan in the UK. He has a Geek shirt, and you can too. Anyway, This has been fun, Ray. This has been a fun episode. Thanks for doing it. Activision. Bought by Microsoft being the biggest deal of the week, and I can't wait to.
Yeah, it was huge deal. So, but yeah, absolutely, giant size jumbo episode. Actually came in about time wise about normal, but we talked about some real big stuff here on the episode. Which was a lot of fun. This was a lot. Like Lee said, this was a lively episode. We had a good chat tonight. Right. We hope you guys had fun. We had fun. We hope you guys had fun listening to this.
I do. Yeah. Andrew Craig says, never forget the 2011 Cup Finals. Are you talking about Boston versus Vancouver? What you trolling them for that? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes.
Yeah, we all know the Nucks have never won a cup. The Nucks have never won a cup. They lost to the Bruins and they lost to the Rangers.
Yeah, they did win a cup in Vancouver, but it wasn't as the Canucks. It was as the Cougars.
Wow.
There's my hockey knowledge coming in.
Wow. To get beaten by a bunch of hot old ladies. Wow.
Yeah.
But Get it anyway. So no, it wasn't my best, folks. Sorry, I'll work on the material for next week. But until then, have yourselves a great week, everybody. We really appreciate everybody tuning in. As always, if you're supporting us here on Twitch, on Facebook, on Twitter, Instagram, wherever it may be, it always means a lot. Be sure to share it with your friends. Join the Facebook group if you haven't. Buy a T-shirt if you haven't yet. It goes to a great cause, us.
Goes to Ray. Yeah. Great cause, Ray.
Yes,
listen, guys. Ray's got to stay angry. He's got to stay angry, and he needs to be paid to be angry, much like
you
Hulk.
too can support an
Ray.
angry Giants fan.
Yeah.
For the low
with your T-shirt donation, you can send Ray to Oxford.
Gosh, I'll go to England and teach them all about the Giants, and they'll be like, "What's this? What's this? This isn't football.
It's not football.
This isn't football."
Mike, it's extraordinary that you think this version of football is worth playing. It's crazy, man. And let me show you real football. Man United.
Yes.
It's
Goodness. Maybe I would finally get into soccer. Maybe.
Rugby, man. You'd love rugby. That's your sport.
You know, I will say that when I went to visit Australia and I watched a lot of rugby with my friends down there, I really did enjoy it. I've watched some rugby, some Australian League rugby here in the States. It actually comes on late at night on like Fox Sports 2 or something.
Yeah, rugby's awesome. It's better than football.
No, rugby is a lot of fun. I actually watched rugby during the Olympics too, actually during the Summer Olympics. It was different rules than Australian League, but which only made it more confusing for a sport I'm just trying to learn. But it was still fun to watch. Always a good time. But cool. Yeah, and I'm getting confirmation in chat. Everybody loved the episode. Cotter, the episode will drop on Spotify by the end of the week. And that's for you folks at home too. If you prefer to listen on Spotify, you can, or whatever else you listen to us on your podcasts. Wherever podcasts are heard, we will be.
Cotter, I don't remember you being here, but I am a massive hockey person. So if you ever come back to talking hockey, you're from the right place.
Yes.
Massive in the game. That's all I'm going to tell you right now.
Yes. But for now, that'll wrap it up for us here this week for episode 139. Again, thanks everybody for tuning in. Until next week, for Lee, I am Ray, and this has been Geeks Who Like Sports. Good night, everybody.
Cue the music, Caitlin.